Hello, 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 what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, what I'm going to do is make an entire beat from scratch on the SP404 Mark II, and I'm going to use a soul sample in order to do this. Now, I know I've been saying that I've been changing my workflow recently and using Ableton a lot for composition. Nothing's ever permanent really, and occasionally it is quite nice to just hop into a device like the Mark II that's got limitations and just see what you can conjure up. The first thing that I'm going to do is sample in a stretch of music. Now, because of the YouTube copyright issues, I'm not going to be able to show you this full thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'll show you a little sneak preview, and then I'll get to the chopping side of things, so I will see you all in a little second.
What's on your mind?
Okay, so I've got the sample in the SP. And the first thing that I'm going to do is obviously play around a little bit with the pitch of this. So I quite like the tempo, and in fact it's saying that the BPM is 90, but that could just be the default because it usually does just set it to 90. So maybe I could tap tempo at first. Well, it does look like it is 90, it's saying it's 89, so that's close enough. So pitch and speed, so I want to slow that down, but I want to maintain the pitch of that sample for now. So I'm going to go to Shift and use the value wheel, and we're going to put it on ensemble, and now we can reduce the speed but still maintain the pitch. So let's take this down to a more workable speed of say 88 BPM, nearly 88.20, 98% of the original speed. Okay, a bit slower, and I'm going to pitch it up to get that kind of old boom bappy sound where samples are pitched up a bit, and hopefully pitching up as well, it also has a practical use. It kind of can get rid of some of the drums as well, so we'll go ahead and do that. Let's say, should we say 3? Let's see what that sounds like. There we go, you're getting that kind of high sort of vocal sample sound. That's really common in hip hop and boom bap, so yeah, I'm happy with that. That treatment side of the sample is done. So let's go to Shift and Start End, which is chop. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and do menu and auto mark, and I'm going to do 16 time divisions. Now, this is something that you really need to get into the habit of, which makes sampling a lot easier, is counting when you're doing the sample. So I'll try and demonstrate by singing the sample and counting. And what I do is I just count along the pads as I'm doing it. So say if you want to fill out 16 pads, you know, that sample was kind of like a, if you know what I mean,
That was crazy.
Apologies for the singing there, but hopefully that gives you the idea of what I'm talking about. If you count along the pads as the sample's going, you know that those chops are going to land in the right places. So I've recorded a loop or a phrase of that song, which I know kind of loops back on itself, and now I can chop it up evenly. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's useful. So I'm going to do time division 16, and I'm going to press enter on that, and it says current marks be lost. Yep, that's fine. And here we go now. I can show you what I was saying about when I was singing. So the sample loops back because I've taken a bit of the record which can be used as a continuous loop. So if I go from the sort of end of that phrase and back to the start, you'll hear that it kind of loops. Oops, sorry, I hit a few wrong buttons. So you can see there, that's me playing those chronologically, literally in the same order that they are in the record. Now this is sort of chopping 101. Now what you want to start doing is, now that you've got that down, we've got the tempo, which was kind of like 88 BPM. We want to start messing around with those chops and trying to get a different pattern to the record, something that sounds unique, something that we've crafted. So that's usually what I start doing at this point. This point in the process, to me personally, is very important, because to me this is where a sample is kind of make or break. So what I'm going to start doing now is just playing around with these chops and seeing if I can make something that kind of hits well, something that makes you want to go woo, just like a cooking soul. So let's have a go and see if we can get that going. Yeah, there we go. That's definitely working. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm keeping it in time with the chops, but I'm reworking them and creating a new melody. And that's the way that you build beats, basically. That's the way that you chop samples and build beats. There is other ways to do it as well, but this is one of my favorites at the moment. It does sound a bit glitchy at the moment, but don't worry about that because we can mess around with a few things in a little while and get that working properly. Okay, so now I'm happy that I've kind of created something there. We'll go to menu and assign to pad. Now this is really cool. Check out on the screen, it says pad to assign mark. Now the wording for that is a bit crappy, but basically if you, instead of having to hit every single pad and say, yeah, I want them all on these pads, just hit mark and it puts them all on the pads for you. Super simple stuff. We're obviously going to want to put this in a mute group as well, so gate on, we're going to turn that off. We'll put the mute group on all those chops in a little second. So enter to shop, and it's going to do its thing. And now we're going to go straight in and do mute group because otherwise it's going to sound an absolute mess. And they're all in there now. And now yeah.
That was great.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
That's definitely working. I mean, something similar to that. So pattern select, we're going to be doing this in F. So record, pattern 1. And we knew it was kind of 88. So let's move it down to 88. 4 bars as always. I wish you could set a default in this. I think this is one of the things that I might actually try and speak to Roland about, because if we could save a default here, it saves you having to do this every single time. For the chops, I always do 100% quantize. I just want that to be proper, and I do grid 16 as well. You could probably get away with grid 8, but we'll go with grid 16. So let's try and get this pattern out.
A few moments later.
Oh my god, we finally got there, guys. That took way too long. So we finally got the main pattern. That sounds absolutely awesome. So copy that. And now drums. So I've actually got some drums from my Lo-Fi Drums Volume 5 pack loaded up in here already. And I've put them in vertical lanes here. So I've got kicks, I've got snares, and hi-hats. So we've got 3 lanes there. That gives us room to experiment around with different sounds. So let's just do a quick drum along and see what we can come up with for that. Okay, now we're already coming into a problem which happens a lot on the SP, and that is the drums are at 100% volume. Well, they're as loud as they can be without kind of clipping. The sample is louder than the drums. So how do we get the sound of the drums to be louder than the sample? Well, the easiest thing to do, and this is something that I've been having to think about a lot recently, and actually will try and do a dedicated video, is to turn down the samples so that it gives us more headroom for the drums to be louder. So we're going to go into the sample. Because we're in the mute group, we do pitch and speed, and we press copy, and it says to mute group, you can see. And I can turn this down, and I'm going to go all the way down to about 63, which is about half the volume that it originally was. Now, if we play that pattern now, we should have way more room now for the drums. So here we go. Awesome, happy with those. So I think it was 15, 14 and 9. Really nice sounding drums. Check out the links below, guys. You can pick this pack up. It's got all these and more in it. So pattern select, and we're going to go record, and I'm going to do 100% strength because I'm going to do the hi-hat on its own first. Another thing that I like to do is always quantize the hi-hat. Going grid 16 again, that's going to be absolutely fine. Now this is where it gets tricky because we need to swap between banks, I think, or it might actually go to the right bank this time because we want drums. So record, and I'm going to go into this hi-hat sound, and I'm going to go shift 16 velocity. So here we go, I'm going to record it with a bit of dynamics on it. Perfect, that's done a great job. So now I'm going to copy that. This is just the way I like to work, and I'm going to do kicks. And I'm going to get some quantized kicks in, and then we can mess around with non-quantized stuff. So record onto this one. We're going to keep 16. Actually, we could actually go to 8 for this. 100%. And watch what I do with the kicks. This is just a little thing to make sure that everything's in time. I'm not going to play all the kicks, just one at the start of each bar. Okay, that was actually the start of every 2 bars. Sorry, I got that wrong. So at the start of every 2 bars, there's a fully quantized kick, just to make sure that everything's going to stay nicely in time. So now, copy that again. We can do record, and we can turn off the strength and the grid completely, and we can record the kick and the snare unquantized and get some nice groove into it. So you can hear now that we're kind of starting to loosely get the idea of a beat, but there's a long way to go yet, and if you're thinking it might not sound that great, there's loads of stuff that I can do with the effects to sort this balance out and sort the mix out. Like I mentioned in my previous video, it is definitely better to mix on a separate session at least, and maybe a different day, at least a couple of hours after you've actually made the sort of basis of the beat like I have here. So ideally now I would just leave this. I'd be happy with the way that sounds. I've got the drums down. I know I can make some variations later. I'd leave it, come back a day later and start mixing it down and making it sound good. I don't want to wait that long to finish this video, so we're going to go ahead and do it in the same session. I don't recommend doing this, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. So let's get this pattern going, and we'll start messing around with the drum levels to get those sounding a little bit better. And then finally I'll put some bus effects on. So let's go ahead and start doing this. Okay, and I've got a sub here as well, which is actually from my Lo-Fi Drums Volume 4 pack. I think there's 5 subs or 5 different bass notes in there. So we've got that. Let's see if we can fit that over the top as well. And I'm just going to go for a really simple one-noter for this video. You could go ahead and put it on chromatic mode and try and tap out a melody. For this particular video, I'm just going to stick to a little one-noter. That's going to keep some sub in there, keep some nice low end, but it's not going to be too time-consuming for this video, basically. So again, we're going to copy that pattern. I'm going to go to record. I don't want any quantize for this, really. So we'll hit record. And you know what, for an SP beat, really don't think that sounds too shabby. Now, finally, bus 3 and bus 4. So let's put these on, and let's see if we can make a little bit of a difference with these as well. Well, we have already actually got a lot of comp on here. So we've got a lot of compression, 303 vinyl sim doing that on bus 4. And on bus 3, we've got a lo-fi setting. So we can play around with this a bit maybe and try and get a bit of a better blend. And as I said in my previous video, when you actually add compression, it can ruin the levels again. So the hats have become way too loud in this. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to utilize bus 1 and bus 2. I'm going to use bus 1 for the chops. So let's do bus 1, remain. And yeah, they're all in there. And I'll probably add some 404 vinyl sim just because I really like 404 vinyl sim. Actually, no. Do you know what? I'll go for my other favorite, Crusher. So I'll add some Crusher to the sample. And then for the drums, I'm going to do some EQ probably. So yeah, we've got all those in bus 2 already, so we'll go to isolator. Apart from variations, I'm actually really happy with that. We chopped up a soul sample, we laid some drums over the top from one of my packs, we added some sub, and then we did a little bit of mixing and added some effects. I'll probably revisit this at some point when my ears have had a rest and redo the mixing side of things. And yeah, I'll probably build some variations as well. If you'd like to actually see that in another video, let me know. Maybe I could do that as my next video again, or a little further along the way. But yeah, this is the loop that we've got. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the loop that I made, and I hope this whole talk through kind of gives you some tips and ideas for the beat making workflow and the process. That is genuinely my full beat making workflow on the SP404 Mark II. That is exactly how I make beats. So I'm sure there's some useful information in there for you. I really do hope so anyway. So hit subscribe if you're new around here, hit the thumbs up if you like this video, keep making beats, and I will see you all in the next one.